What if I told you that the richest man in history, a man whose net worth would make Elon Musk look like he's running a lemonade stand, didn't want you to save your money? John D. Rockefeller once said, "I would rather earn 1% off of 100 people's efforts than 100% of my own." Most people are playing the game of 100% effort. You work, you get taxed, you save the leftovers, and you pray for retirement. But Rockefeller? He played a different game. He played the game of systems. My name is Nick. Today, I'm taking off the mask of the middle class and putting on the mindset of a titan. We aren't just talking about saving $5 on a latte. We are spending the next 20 minutes breaking down the exact blueprint that turned a bookkeeper's son into the ruler of the American economy. If you've ever felt like the system is rigged against you, it's because it is. And it's time you learned the rules they used to win. The first thing Rockefeller would tell you today: your cash is trash. Since 1971, when the U.S. dollar stopped being backed by gold, your money hasn't been money, it's been currency. And the nature of currency is to flow and to disappear. Think of your savings account as a bucket with a hole in the bottom. That hole is called inflation. Robert Kiyosaki calls this the fake money trap. If you have $10,000 in the bank today, and inflation is at 5%, you didn't lose money. But your $10,000 now only buys $9,500 worth of groceries. You work just as hard, but the invisible thief stole your time. Rockefeller never kept money. He kept assets. He knew that while the dollar loses value, the oil, the steel, and the land only go up. Step 1 of the Rockefeller mindset: stop collecting paper. Start collecting ownership. Let's get into the math that separates the rich from the acting rich. Most people get a raise and immediately buy a liability that looks like an asset. That $60,000 SUV. It's a liability. It takes money out of your pocket every month for gas, insurance, and depreciation. Kiyosaki's definition is elegantly simple. Asset puts money into your pocket. Liability takes money out of your pocket. Rockefeller was famous for being frugal in his personal life, while being aggressive in his business. He would drive an old carriage while buying up every oil refinery in Pennsylvania. He understood that if you buy enough assets, the assets will eventually buy your toys for you. If you want a Ferrari, don't work for it. Buy a rental property, and let the tenant's rent pay the Ferrari's lease. That is how you live like a king for free. Now, let's talk about Warren Buffett's secret sauce. He's been investing for over 80 years. 99% of his wealth was made after his 50th birthday. The formula for wealth isn't a secret. It's latex. A equals P1 plus RN $. The N is the most important part, that's time. Rockefeller didn't look at a dollar as a way to buy a burger. He looked at it as a seed. If you plant that seed and let it double every 7 years, in 50 years, that one seed is a forest. The biggest mistake you're making: you're eating your seeds. You get a dividend check, and you spend it. You get a tax refund, and you go on vacation. Buffett lives in the same house he bought in 1958 because he knows that every dollar he doesn't spend is a soldier in his army working to win the next war. This is the part that will make your head spin. Rockefeller loved debt, but not the kind of debt you have. There are 2 types of debt. Consumer debt. You buy a TV you can't afford at 24% interest. This is slavery. Strategic leverage. You borrow money at 5% to buy a business that returns 15%. This is freedom. Rockefeller used debt to create a monopoly. He would borrow money to buy out his competitors, then use the profits from those new businesses to pay back the loan. He was using other people's money to become the richest man on earth. When you understand buy, borrow, die, the strategy we talked about before, you realize that debt is the only way to access wealth without paying taxes. The bank doesn't tax a loan. The IRS doesn't tax a loan. If you are rich enough to borrow, you are rich enough to be invisible to the tax man. John D. Rockefeller didn't just build a company, he built a trust. He ensured his children and grandchildren would never have to start from zero. You might not have $1 billion today, But you have the same 24 hours that Rockefeller had. You have the same access to the stock markets that Buffett has. And you have the same information that Kiyosaki shares. The only thing standing between you and a dynasty is the decision to stop being a consumer and start being an owner. Stop working for money and start making money work for you. If this 20-minute masterclass opened your eyes, I need you to do two things. First, hit that subscribe button because the traditional financial world doesn't want you to know these rules. Second, comment below with one liability you are going to sell this month to buy your first asset. The game is rigged, but only if you don't know the rules. Now you do. In Nick, and he'll see you at the top.